Hey, I'm Ryan Davis, and I work for Overwatch as the Global Marketing Communications Director.
So you won an Effie for Overwatch. Congratulations. Tell me a little bit about the campaign Overwatch.
Absolutely. So the first thing we did was we had to decide what makes our game different than the rest of the games in the category. And so Overwatch is this just amazing different universe. It's this bright and optimistic universe with these larger-than-life characters. With really rich and diverse backgrounds. And so we decided to really lean into that. And so that's kind of the first thing that we decided was just what makes us different.
And so tell me, you developed these larger-than-life characters and placed them around the world.
So yeah, one of the things we did is we created these very large, what we call colossal collectibles. So they're 15-foot, larger-than-life versions of some of our characters. And we put them across the globe to sort of signify Overwatch is here, and hopefully draw attention to our characters, and get some earned media and attention across across social media, and luckily it worked.
What was the insight behind creating these larger-than-life characters?
We really wanted to try to get a big impression. And with the fragmented media landscape nowadays, you really need to do something that gets above the noise. And so we were just trying to think with our agency partners, what could we do that's inherently Overwatch, and really lean in on the characters and what makes us different. And came up with these larger-than-life action figures, and just it went from there.
Were there key decisions about that? I mean, in terms of why you picked to do those larger-than-life characters versus, you could do traditional advertising?
Well, we did do plenty of traditional advertising too, and I think that's the thing. The overall campaign is very sort of integrated across all different mediums, but we felt like we still needed to do some things that were really going to get attention and sort of what we call stunts, and get some attention that you wouldn't get normally.
So when you took this idea of putting these larger-than-life characters all around the world, and you were in, what cities were you in again?
Yeah, we were in Busan, Korea, Paris, France, and Hollywood, California.
So did you have to convince the upper management team that this was a good idea, or?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't easy, but everybody at Blizzard, I think we're all gamers. Everybody's, really enthusiastic about doing stuff that we really think is cool and that the players will love. And I think once everybody saw this, they just couldn't not do it. They all really wanted to do it.
So that leap of faith that this was a good idea wasn't that big of a leap?
It was still a big leap. I mean, that's a lot, it wasn't cheap to make, 15-foot tall action figures with, packaging surrounding them. They weighed I can't even remember how much, but it took a crane to put them down on the places they were going, and we had to ship them around the world because we built them all in Los Angeles. So it was a logistical undertaking for sure. So I mean, it wasn't an easy decision to make, but I think everybody felt like this was going to get us, really send off Overwatch's launch in a way that will really get attention and feel right.
So gamers, it's a fairly solitary activity, sitting behind the game, right? Unless you're connected with other people. But you chose to put these experiential statues, if you will, of the characters of the game out into the real world. What drove that?
We really wanted to find a way to break above the noise. And one of the things we kind of learned, we actually learned this on a previous campaign for World of Warcraft, where we did a giant taxi cab in New York City in Times Square with an axe going through it. And we discovered that what ends up getting spread around is the picture, and the picture is worth so much more online than it is for the actual people that are showing up to the actual experience. So that's really what you're after, is you're trying to get all those people online who can't be there to be a part of it. And usually they're a part of it through the press that show up, or people that just snap a tweet or an Instagram of it. So that's why we chose to do these experiential things, because we found that we really think that they can get above the noise and be something really different. You know, when you're looking through your social media feed and you see a giant colossal collectible, you know, in Paris or in Busan or, you know, on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, that'll catch your attention. And so that's why we decided to go that route.
So for Overwatch, did you announce that these characters were going to be there, or did you just put them there and hope that people would discover them and start talking about them?
Yeah, no, the idea was that hopefully people would discover it and we would see what happened from there. I mean, you know, we did invite some influencers and people like that, and just kind of give them a heads up that you know, something was going to be going on down there, but we didn't tell them what. And then so obviously when they went down there, they you know, they sort of took it and ran with it. So.
And why the 3 cities?
Yeah. So we wanted to choose, again, so that it felt like it would really get good coverage, you know, in social media and in press. We wanted to make sure we picked iconic locations. So we picked Hollywood Boulevard. You know, obviously Hollywood's cool because there's a map, Hollywood map in the game. And that one's right in our backyard, so we could get our devs down there and they could see it too, which was really cool. But we worked with our regional offices to decide where they wanted to put theirs. So our regional team in France decided that they wanted to put it in Paris because they felt like that's a really iconic location for them and would work really well with their audiences. And then the Korean team decided they wanted to do Busan because they had this very big event that they were putting on, and that made sense to put the statue there. It was like a big sort of anchor point for the whole event that they were doing there.
So when we think about game development, it takes a really long time to bring a game to market. Mm-hmm. When do you start seeding the market that a game is coming?
You know, it can start up very early. And I think with this campaign, we sort of identified these 3 major segments. We identified it as sort of the hardcore, and we identified that there would be these sort of people that are into FPSs and are veterans to the FPS market. And then we also identified, you know, just the more casual gamer that we thought would make, you know, sense to target for this game. So that first audience, you know, where you're really capturing them is like getting them into the beta, trying to give them opportunities to get their hands on at like events like BlizzCon or PAX East, so that they can start to become evangelists for your brand. And then veterans, we hoped to get them in the open beta. So, you know, because we really felt like as soon as you get players' hands on this game, that they really got behind it. Early testing showed that if a player actually tried Overwatch, their purchase intent went up like significantly. So that was sort of our overall strategy for the campaign, is we got to get their hands on the actual game. Show them, don't tell them. Let them decide if Overwatch is for them and then get their hands on it and try it out.
Overwatch was your first-person shooter. You know, how did you convince your core hardcore gamer community that knows you that this was something they should try?
I think the most important thing was, again, that sort of the idea of like, let's show them, not tell them. Let's get their hands on the game. Let's show them these animated shorts of these characters with these rich and diverse backgrounds, and let them decide if they felt like this was a game they wanted to try. But then give them the opportunity with a big open beta and an opportunity to actually try it out for themselves.
So what about the campaign? Was there anything that surprised you going through that process?
So yeah, I think one of the things that surprised me during the campaign was just how much passion the fans really had. So we kind of built out phases for our launch. We identified different segments of players, and in identifying those segments, one of the things we did was just like arm the players themselves, or empower the players themselves to be able to make their own cosplay of the characters very early on. So some of the really hardcore fans were able to start making cosplay like early on of our characters, even before the game was out of closed beta. And we would see them show up at various events and things like that before the game had even launched. And so it's really exciting to see how much the community gets involved if you just like empower them to be able to do that, and how much passion they had for the game and its message. this bright and optimistic future.
I'm sure you had a team behind you. How did they? What was that team like, and what role? How did that all work out?
Yeah, so we had obviously we have all of our global, integrated teams within Blizzard, who helped out on everything. So like, for example, with with Overwatch, when we did that at PAX East, they were able to make sure that we got influencers to come be a part of that. And take a ride in the Lamborghini with Tracer, and or a ride with 76 in the giant F650, or a ride with Diva and the little Prowler car that was decked out in her whole kit. Anything we did, there was always some piece where we were trying to, get influencers involved or get cosplayers involved. So that's kind of one of the big ways that the team helped. And then obviously our global teams, they helped to integrate it across the globe so that this really felt like a truly integrated global campaign.
So transitioning a little bit, how do you think about marketing effectiveness? How would you define that?
So the thing that I think is important about, at least the way we think about it at Blizzard, is we're building a relationship with our players and with our fans that we want to be long-lasting. So we want to be really genuine and listen to them and collaborate with them. Like, if we hear on the forums of something that they're really just not liking about the game, then the developers will actually adjust for that. And I think that trust that you build is really the thing that's going to create a long-lasting, relationship with your players. And I think that at the end of the day is actually good for your business too.
So you not to put words in your mouth, but you define marketing effectiveness as creating that higher level engagement with the people that play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to be with them, beyond this game's launch, right? We want to be able to keep having things that interacting with them down the road with Overwatch.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me today.
Definitely. Thank you.